Life often tests our emotional resilience by confronting us with loss, change, and the ebb and flow of relationships. We form deep bonds, build connections, and weave others into the fabric of our lives. Yet, there comes a time when those connections shift or fade entirely. How do we cope when someone we care about no longer occupies the same emotional space? How do we let go without losing ourselves? In this journey, the philosophy of Stoicism offers profound wisdom. Stoicism isn't about numbing ourselves or becoming indifferent. It's about cultivating a balanced inner life, one where peace isn't dependent on external circumstances. In today's exploration, we'll uncover 5 timeless Stoic rules that guide us in emotionally detaching from others while maintaining clarity and strength. Each principle is a stepping stone to mastering the art of emotional freedom. Stay with us, for the final rule will reveal how to unlock a perspective that transcends the fleeting struggles of life. 1. Understand the impermanence of life. Have you ever tried to hold on to something so tightly that it slipped away even faster? Imagine clutching a handful of sand at the beach. The more you squeeze, the quicker it escapes. This is the nature of life and relationships. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that everything is in a constant state of change. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Relationships, no matter how significant they seem, are no exception. We often attach ourselves to a narrative about someone, a story we've constructed in our minds about their role in our lives. This attachment feels secure, comforting, and sometimes even permanent. But is it true? Can any relationship, no matter how profound, defy the impermanence of life? Consider your own experiences. Perhaps you've had a close friendship or a deep romantic connection that felt unbreakable. Over time, subtle changes occurred. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly became stilted, and shared interests began to diverge. You resisted these changes, clinging to what once was, hoping to preserve the bond. Yet, the more you clung, the heavier the emotional weight became. This is where the Stoic principle of embracing impermanence becomes essential. To detach emotionally, we must first accept that all things, including our closest connections, are transient. The Stoics saw this not as a cause for despair, but as a liberating truth. When you acknowledge the temporary nature of relationships, you free yourself from the illusion of permanence. Marcus Aurelius writes, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." This mindset doesn't diminish the value of our relationships. Rather, it allows us to appreciate them fully in the present without the burden of future expectations. How much more precious would each moment with someone feel if you knew it could end tomorrow? Let me share a personal story. For over a decade, I had a friend with whom I shared everything: hopes, fears, and countless late-night conversations. Over time, our paths diverged. Despite my efforts to maintain the closeness we once had, the relationship began to fade. I felt as though I was carrying the weight of a connection that no longer existed in the same form. It wasn't until I embraced the impermanence of our bond that I found peace. The friendship had served its purpose, and its gradual dissolution was a natural part of life's flow. Have you ever held on too tightly to a relationship that was slipping away? What did it cost you emotionally? Reflecting on these questions can be transformative. Stoicism teaches us that by accepting the inevitability of change, we suffer less when it arrives. The tighter we cling, the more we resist life's natural rhythm, and the greater our pain becomes. But here lies the beauty of impermanence. It compels us to live in the present. Knowing that nothing lasts forever encourages us to cherish our connections while they exist and release them gracefully when their time has passed. Every relationship, whether lasting a lifetime or a brief season, shapes us in ways that contribute to our growth. As we move forward, remember this: detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means loving deeply and fully in the moment, without the need to control or cling. With this understanding, we are ready to explore how Stoicism empowers us to take charge of our emotions and thoughts, even in the face of loss. Let us journey now to the next rule: mastering our emotions through rational thought. 2. Master your emotions through rational thought. Do your emotions control you, or do you control them? This is a question that lies at the heart of Stoicism. When we feel betrayed, ignored, or rejected, the emotional storm that follows can feel overwhelming. Sadness, anger, and frustration seem to rise naturally, as though they're in charge. But here's the Stoic truth: emotions do not arise from events themselves. They are born from our interpretations of those events. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. What does this mean in practice? It means that the events unfolding around you, whether someone leaves you, disregards you, or even harms you, do not determine your emotional state. Your reaction stems from the meaning you assign to those events. Let's imagine a situation. You send a heartfelt message to a close friend, expressing your thoughts and emotions. Hours pass, and there's no reply. What happens next? Your mind begins to race. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Do they not care as much as I do? These thoughts spiral, creating feelings of anxiety, rejection, and even anger. But what are the facts? The only truth in this situation is that your message hasn't been answered. Everything else, the assumptions, the worries, the conclusions, are constructions of your mind. Stoicism urges us to challenge these automatic emotional responses. Ask yourself, what evidence do I have for these thoughts? What might be an alternative explanation? Perhaps your friend is busy, their phone died, or they simply haven't had a moment to respond thoughtfully. Marcus Aurelius teaches, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are irrational and fear-driven, your emotions will reflect that chaos. However, if your thoughts are grounded in logic and clarity, your emotional state will follow suit. In my own life, I recall a similar moment. A close friend and I were in the middle of an important discussion when their responses suddenly stopped. At first, I remained calm, but as hours passed, unease began to creep in. My mind conjured up countless scenarios, most of them negative. By the end of the day, I had convinced myself that our friendship was at risk. Yet, when I reached out the next morning, they responded warmly, completely unaware of the turmoil I had put myself through. How often do we let our emotions spiral because we fail to challenge our initial thoughts? Stoicism offers a path out of this emotional trap. Pause, reflect, and apply reason. Ask yourself, what do I know for certain? What assumptions am I making? How can I interpret this situation in a way that brings me peace rather than turmoil? This is not to say we should suppress or ignore our emotions. Emotions are a natural part of the human experience. However, Stoicism teaches us that we can observe our emotions without being ruled by them. The mind is the true master, capable of shaping how we perceive and respond to life's challenges. Consider how this practice might change your perspective on relationships. Imagine facing a painful breakup. Instead of letting your emotions spiral into despair, you pause and ask, what are the facts? The relationship has ended, yes, but does this event define your worth? Can you see this as a chapter closing rather than the end of your story? By reframing your thoughts, you take back control of your emotions and begin to heal. Think about a time when you allowed your thoughts to drive your emotions unchecked. How might the outcome have changed if you had paused and applied rational thought? By mastering this Stoic principle, you cultivate emotional resilience, freeing yourself from the grip of impulsive reactions. As we move toward the next rule, consider this. Stoicism doesn't promise a life free of emotions, but offers the tools to face them with wisdom and composure. How would your life change if you could consistently choose reason over reaction? If this resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and share your experience in the comments. How have your thoughts shaped your emotions in the past? Your insights could provide comfort and clarity to someone else on their Stoic journey. Let's learn and grow together. 3. Practice negative visualization. What if you could prepare your mind for life's inevitable losses, not by hardening your heart, but by strengthening your resilience? This is the essence of negative visualization, a powerful Stoic exercise that helps us detach emotionally from people and outcomes. At first glance, this practice may seem counterintuitive. Why imagine losing something or someone you care about? Wouldn't that just amplify the pain? Marcus Aurelius thought differently. He believed that by contemplating the potential loss of cherished relationships or possessions, we diminish their power to destabilize us. In his words, do not disturb yourself by imagining the whole of your life's troubles at once. Rather, as each arises, meet it with calmness and self-control. Consider this: everything you hold dear, every person you love, will one day change or be gone. This is not a grim prophecy, but a fundamental truth of existence. Life is transient, and loss is inevitable. Negative visualization allows us to confront this reality head-on, fostering a deep appreciation for the present moment and reducing the fear of future loss. Imagine someone you hold dear, a partner, a friend, or a family member. Now, visualize your life without them. How does it feel? Painful, uncomfortable. That's natural. But as you practice this regularly, you begin to build a mental buffer against the emotional impact of actual loss. This doesn't mean you'll be unaffected when the time comes, but you'll face it with greater composure and acceptance. I remember a time when my closest friend was preparing to move overseas. The thought of their absence filled me with dread. Instead of suppressing this fear, I practiced negative visualization. Each day, I imagined life without their presence, going through my routines, finding new sources of joy, and cherishing the memories we had created. When the move finally happened, the sting of separation was there, but I wasn't overwhelmed. I had mentally rehearsed the scenario, and it softened the blow. This practice also shifts your mindset from entitlement to gratitude. Too often, we take our relationships for granted, assuming they will last forever. But when you regularly visualize life without someone, you begin to treasure every interaction and shared moment. The ordinary becomes extraordinary because you understand its fleeting nature. Negative visualization doesn't breed pessimism, it cultivates resilience. By imagining the worst, you strip it of its power to surprise or devastate you. You learn to accept life as it is, not as you wish it to be. How might this practice change the way you approach your relationships? Would you cling less and appreciate more? There's another layer to this exercise. It prepares us for changes in others. People grow, evolve, and sometimes drift away. Rather than resisting this natural progression, negative visualization helps us accept it as part of life's flow. When you've already imagined someone's absence, their emotional or physical departure feels less like a personal failure and more like the unfolding of life's inevitable transitions. In one of my past relationships, I constantly feared losing the connection. This fear made me cling tightly, which only created tension and anxiety. When I started practicing negative visualization, I imagined life without the relationship. While it was difficult at first, it helped me shift my focus to the present, enjoying what we had instead of worrying about what might be lost. When the relationship eventually ended, I was hurt, but not broken. I had prepared myself, and that preparation became a source of strength. Stoicism teaches us that suffering often comes from our attachment to illusions, chief among them the illusion of permanence. Negative visualization dismantles this illusion, reminding us that everything we cherish is temporary. This realization is not meant to make us withdraw or become indifferent. It's meant to free us from the chains of fear and attachment. When you stop expecting life to stay the same, you stop fearing its inevitable changes. And when you stop fearing change, you gain the freedom to live fully, appreciating each moment without clinging to it. As we continue, reflect on this. What would your life look like if you could face loss with calm acceptance rather than paralyzing fear? In the next rule, we'll explore how focusing on what you can control empowers you to navigate relationships and challenges with unshakable confidence. 4. Focus on what you can control. How much of your emotional pain comes from trying to control the uncontrollable? In relationships, we often find ourselves clinging to the hope that we can influence how others feel or behave. But Stoicism teaches us a liberating truth. The only things we truly control are our own thoughts, actions, and responses. Everything else, how others perceive us, their feelings, or the outcomes of our efforts, lies beyond our grasp. Marcus Aurelius put it succinctly: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When we attempt to control what's outside our power, we set ourselves up for frustration, disappointment, and emotional turmoil. Think about a time when you tried to influence someone's feelings. Perhaps you went out of your way to prove your value to a friend or romantic partner, hoping they'd reciprocate your efforts. You may have felt drained, anxious, or resentful when your actions didn't yield the desired response. Why? Because you were investing your emotional energy into something you couldn't control, their reaction. I once experienced this cycle in a relationship where I constantly felt like I had to fix things to keep the connection alive. No matter how much effort I put in, planning thoughtful gestures, being available, or addressing conflicts, it never seemed to be enough. The harder I tried, the more powerless I felt because I was focusing on changing the other person's feelings rather than accepting what was beyond my control. Stoicism offers a way out of this exhausting loop. Instead of fixating on outcomes, shift your attention to your own responses and values. Ask yourself, am I acting in alignment with my principles? Am I putting my best effort forward? If the answer is yes, then you've done your part. The rest is not yours to control. This mindset doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you stop tying your emotional well-being to their behavior. Imagine the freedom that comes with this shift. No longer will you be a prisoner to someone else's actions or approval. You'll find stability in the one thing you can always control, your own mind. How does this principle apply to your life? Maybe you've felt sidelined in a friendship, repeatedly reaching out only to receive lukewarm responses. It's natural to feel hurt, but ask yourself, what is within my control here? You can choose to communicate openly, adjust your expectations, or focus on other fulfilling connections. You can't, however, force the other person to value your efforts in the way you want. By embracing this Stoic wisdom, you begin to reclaim your power. Emotional detachment, in this sense, isn't about withdrawing from people. It's about letting go of your attachment to outcomes you cannot dictate. This shift allows you to engage in relationships from a place of strength rather than neediness or fear. Take a moment to reflect. How many times have you felt trapped in emotional cycles because you were focusing on things beyond your control? What would change if you redirected that energy toward your own thoughts and actions? In my experience, the more I practiced this principle, the more at peace I became. A sense of clarity replaced the constant anxiety of trying to manage others' feelings. I realized that I could show up authentically, do my best, and let go of the rest. The relief was immediate, and the emotional weight lifted. Now, I invite you to think about a relationship or situation where you've been striving to control the uncontrollable. How might your perspective shift if you embraced the Stoic principle of focusing only on what's within your power? If this resonates with you, let us know in the comments. Share a moment when you let go of trying to control someone else's behavior and found peace in focusing on your own actions. Your story might inspire others to do the same. And if you haven't already, like this video to support the channel and ensure you don't miss more Stoic insights like these. As we move to the final rule, we'll explore how zooming out to see the bigger picture can transform your emotional landscape. Stay with us. This perspective might just be the key to lasting emotional freedom. 5. Reflect on the bigger picture. In the throes of emotional pain, it's easy to feel as though the world has narrowed to that one moment, that one person, or that one loss. Stoicism, however, invites us to step back and view our struggles within the vast expanse of life. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the insignificance of individual troubles when seen against the backdrop of the universe. "Consider how swiftly all things pass and are gone," he wrote, "the bodies of men and the remnants of their names. What is constant in life is how fleeting it all is." When we feel consumed by a relationship, whether through love, disappointment, or loss, it's crucial to ask, how much will this matter in a year, in 5 years, in the entirety of my life? Stoicism teaches us that no single person or event should dominate our emotional world. Life is a continuous flow of experiences, and every moment, no matter how intense, eventually passes. Reflecting on the bigger picture doesn't mean dismissing your feelings. It means recognizing their temporary nature and understanding that they are part of a much larger narrative. Imagine standing atop a mountain, looking down at the winding path you've traveled. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable now appear as small, distant milestones along your journey. Think back to a time when you felt overwhelmed by emotional pain. Perhaps it was the end of a relationship, a betrayal, or a period of isolation. In the moment, it might have felt like the end of the world. But with time, perspective shifted. The pain subsided, new relationships formed, and life moved forward. What once seemed all-encompassing became a mere chapter in your story. In my own life, I experienced a breakup that left me feeling adrift, as if my entire sense of self was tied to that relationship. At first, the pain was all I could see, but as I reflected on the bigger picture, I realized that this person, while significant, was only one thread in the vast tapestry of my existence. They had shaped me, yes, but they did not define me. Life continued to unfold, offering new opportunities for growth and connection. Marcus Aurelius often encouraged this broader reflection. Look at the past, empire succeeding empire, and from that, extrapolate the future. The same pattern. Your life is but a moment, live it wisely. This perspective reminds us that our personal struggles are part of a much larger, universal cycle. Empires rise and fall, generations come and go, and so too will our challenges and emotional attachments. This isn't meant to diminish the significance of your relationships or experiences, but to help you see them within the context of life's ever-changing nature. When you adopt this mindset, you can approach emotional detachment not as a loss, but as an acceptance of life's rhythm. Every ending, every change is an opportunity for growth and renewal. Reflecting on the bigger picture also helps us recognize the interconnectedness of our experiences. A failed relationship may pave the way for personal growth, a new opportunity, or a deeper connection with someone else. The loss of a friendship may open space for self-reflection and the development of inner strength. Every moment, no matter how painful, contributes to the person you are becoming. As you consider your current struggles, ask yourself, will this pain shape me, or define me? How does this moment fit into the larger arc of my life? By stepping back and seeing the bigger picture, you gain clarity and perspective, allowing you to release emotional attachments that no longer serve you. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches us that life's value doesn't lie in clinging to specific moments or people, but in embracing the journey as a whole. Each experience, joyful or painful, is a stepping stone on the path of personal growth. As Marcus Aurelius so wisely observed, what stands in the way becomes the way. Every challenge, every loss, becomes an opportunity to cultivate resilience and wisdom. With this understanding, emotional detachment becomes not an act of withdrawal, but a profound affirmation of life's impermanence and beauty. You learn to appreciate each moment for what it is, knowing that it too will pass, and in doing so, you find peace. By now, we've explored 5 Stoic principles that guide us toward emotional detachment without sacrificing our humanity. These rules aren't about shutting off your emotions or becoming indifferent to others. They're about regaining your inner balance and freeing yourself from the weight of unnecessary suffering. Life is unpredictable, people change, and relationships evolve. However, through the lens of Stoicism, we can navigate these realities with resilience and clarity. Each of these principles offers a pathway to emotional freedom, a chance to reclaim the peace that's often lost in the chaos of attachment and expectation. Your journey begins. Here now, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences. Which of these Stoic practices resonates most with you? How might you begin to apply them in your daily life? Emotional detachment, as we've explored, is not about distancing yourself from people, but about freeing your mind from the illusions of control and permanence. It's about learning to live fully, even in the face of uncertainty and change. If this video has offered you insights or comfort, share your thoughts in the comments. Your reflections could spark meaningful discussions and help others on their Stoic journey. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more explorations of Stoicism and personal growth. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May you find strength in your mind, peace in your heart, and wisdom in life's ever-changing flow. Until next time, take care and keep growing.